Welcome back, everyone. Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining me. I've got a banger of a show today. I rarely get this mad and stay mad. I'm one of those girls who burns hot. 10 minutes later, I'm like, yeah, we're good. All right. But this, no, I'm furious. So for my day job, News Nation, I interviewed Scott Snow, a Canadian veteran who played in the Dusseldorf 2023 games and unfortunately was hurt severely during the wheelchair rugby match he played in. I will have in the description the full video for you guys to watch. I suggest you watch it, especially if you like your head to blow up in anger. Now, the thing is, he was given faulty equipment. He had actually played and trained on wheelchair with restraints in Germany. He was given a wheelchair with no restraints. Now, he didn't question it. He was not a wheelchair user. They do integrative wheelchair games there, which is fine. I'm not angry at that. But the equipment wasn't correct. During the game, he fell back. He weighed 250 pounds, BT dubs, fell back, jammed his head and neck on the floor, had a concussion, was taken out of the game. Somehow, for some reason, the doctors there didn't think that a military veteran who had had 12 previous surgeries for his 15 years in service should get an MRI or an X-ray or a CAT scan. No, Anyway, they sent him home, and his physio said she would not work on him and insisted he get an X-ray. He did. He found out he had broken his spine and back. He's had several surgeries since. He now has a screw from one of the two surgeries coming out. He lives in constant pain. Now, because he lives in Canada, the actual surgeries were paid for. But you know what isn't? His physio and his therapy. He's thousands of dollars in the hole. He is living with severe pain so much he wears a fentanyl patch every day. That's right, fentanyl. And yeah, he has not heard from Prince Harry's office. He asked for a meeting with Invictus in the very beginning. He met with the outgoing and incoming CEO of Invictus Canada, where they're like, oh, we're so sorry. And never heard from them again. He's emailed Prince Harry's office several times, never heard anything, which, you know, it's kind of like, hey, no man left behind unless you play an Invictus, right? Yeah. So we're going to go through Harry ghosting Scott Snow. Then we're going to go through Time 100 being a full-on PR sham and how one hand always washes the other. Then we've got fun fact, Meghan is actually selling her outfits that she wore at the Dusseldorf game the day Scott got injured. It's insane. Yeah. And she's not donating anything back. I don't know if I'll ever get over this. It's insane. We're going to get into it. And of course, there will be a word from Doug, AKA the turd bird at the end, because I think we're all going to need a palate cleanser at that point. Oh, yeah. All right. So we need to start with watching this clip, because even if you have seen it before, I clipped out a bit of my interview with News Nation. The guy on the right is Scott Snow. The guy on the left is his lawyer, Philip Millar. So let's watch this and then we shall discuss. It drives me crazy. And then to hear what you've had to go through. And I just, it drives me crazy. I mean, Prince Harry founded these games. He's the public face of Invictus. And has anyone from his office bothered to reach out to you? Has anyone bothered to, from Invictus, after that initial meeting, bothered to reach out and say, hey, let's help out here?
Well, to be honest with you, this may be news to Philip too. So, but to be honest with you, I'm not I didn't want to go through this process. I didn't want to go this far. So like I originally, my mental health wasn't the greatest after I felt pretty abandoned, but I emailed the government, Veterans Affairs, I emailed Prince Harry's Foundation, and I said to them, I just want to help and make this better. And I never heard like from anybody, to be honest with you. And I've emailed them both, all three, a couple times.
That's insane. You've reached out and you were their face, and they've literally, the Invictus Games has walked away and kept moving on. I'm absolutely
And again,
shocked.
during the camp, it was mentioned in a 2 line, which I'm sure we can provide to you, but it just says veterans are required to obtain travel insurance. And the difference between travel insurance and international sporting event insurance is two different things.
Yeah, you would think that they would know that. I mean, I'm still hearing this. I'm still shocked that Invictus is not involved in this lawsuit. But what do you want people to understand about the gap between what Invictus represents publicly and what you actually experienced on the ground after the games? Because it does sound like up until your injury, it was a good experience. Unfortunately, you kind of drew the short straw. And what do you want people to know about this gap of what they say and do publicly versus what's happened to you on the ground since?
It's disappointing. Like I really enjoyed like the process of the Invictus Games and going to the games. And even if I had got my injury and had support after, it probably would have been a great experience. But I just don't know how you can take people that are already susceptible. Some of us have cognitive disabilities as it is, and have a 2-tier system on one team. The disappointment is just, well, I've done 2 mental health programs since, and life has changed. But I just try to move forward. But I don't know what the future is going to hold for me or my health. But yeah, it's disappointing.
And what would you say directly to the Invictus Games Foundation or Prince Harry right now?
You know, Prince Harry personally was he spent some time with my daughters and was very good. But if you make a mistake, like I tell my kids, if you make a mistake, make it right. Say you're sorry and move on. So just a sorry, make it right. You went and got an insurance policy for the future. So like make it right for the ones who weren't involved in that, and say you're sorry and let's move on.
A simple apology. That's amazing that you haven't even gotten that. I'm just jaw drop on that one. And what would you say to the veterans who are being recruited, not just from Canada, because as you've pointed out, Canada is now covering the veterans, but what would you say to the veterans from around the world who are being recruited to compete in Birmingham 2027? What do they need to know before they sign up?
I would say apply, compete, enjoy it, embrace it, but make sure you read the fine print and make sure you know what you're covered for and what you're not, because there's always one of, and it just so happens I was it. So hopefully it changes for lots of countries.
I agree. I mean, is there anything you want people to know that I have not asked you?
No, it's not about the money. It's about the principle. The principle that how you can knowingly put people at risk, and you're recruiting people who are, like I say, uninsurable almost, or to the point that if you have to pay for your own insurance, you can't afford it because it's astronomical. That make it right.
Make it right indeed. Yet no one has made it right for Scott yet. Fingers crossed, right? He is suing the Canadian government. Now, listen, I did talk with him and his lawyers, and I did do a little bit of digging. A lot of people are asking why he didn't sue Invictus or Prince Harry. And I have to stress that Scott is from a very small town in Newfoundland, Canada. Okay. This guy is not a money grubber. He is not an ambulance chaser, nor is his lawyer. He did not want to sue at all. he had to, because frankly, when you're in that much pain, how are you going to work? How are you going to support your family? Like my Canada there. But he didn't want to sue Invictus and Prince Harry specifically because he said he doesn't want to harm anything or anyone that helps veterans. All right. Now, his lawyer would have sued Le Trust. He would have gone there. However, during my chat with him, his face fell and he got a little ashen when I showed him these numbers from Dusseldorf. And it was pretty shocking. These are specifically Dusseldorf. He had no idea that so much money was spent on the games. He had no idea that the budget ballooned so badly. And then he also got very upset when I told him I did some digging around insurance policies, and to insure 513 competitors, it would have cost at most €1 million, which frankly, 40 million, they probably could have taken that out, And now a lot of people are asking, did he pay his way there? Again, the rules of Invictus are, a lot of people don't know this. Here's Invictus, it's the umbrella. Then they have the local chapters. It is up to the local chapter and local country to decide if they are going to pay for athletes' accommodation and travel. Canada did pay. So Scott had travel insurance. He thought that was fine. That was all he was asked to do. And again, he would not have been able to compete at all had he known he had to get health insurance or games insurance, because again, pre-existing conditions make it extremely expensive. And again, it's not like he's got some spare dollars lying around. He's a single father, 2 children, lives in a small town in Canada, and is on a fentanyl patch every day. Not a lot of shekels flowing around there, right? Okay, I will try to temper my anger at this. It's infuriating. But what infuriated me even more and made my head pop off to the nth degree was this. A day after I did that interview with Scott, guess who was named Time 100's most important influential people in sports as a leader? That's right. Harry, the man for whom the buck never stops with him, right? The guy who seems to think that, charity is just showing up, shaking hands and getting photos of him smiling and everyone laughing, right? As opposed to, I don't know, stepping up, looking at Scott, who literally told me, I feel abandoned, right? And also in the Time magazine, Harry says his mental health was so bad, he probably wouldn't be here had it not been for Invictus. Well, I urge you, Harry, to call Scott, who not only had PTSD before the games, he's got it right now because he felt like his brothers in arms aren't coming back to collect him. So, yeah, it's insane. Now, a lot of people are wondering, how the hell could this happen? How did Harry magically get this award? And I'd like to remind people that, let me take myself off, or let me do this. Prince Harry, well, he's got a history with Time, and he's got a history with collecting awards. In fact, I like to think he's become a professional award acceptor. Back in 2021, he and Meghan were on the cover of Time magazine as the most influential people. What? Amazing. 2022, he accepted the RFK Human Rights Ripple of Hope Award. Don't know why. 2024, by then, just so we're clear, just historically, let's point out that, public sympathy was still with Harry and Meghan. It hadn't totally turned against them, except for 2024, it kind of had, when the ESPYs awarded Harry the Pat Tillman Award for Service, which was so controversial that Pat Tillman's mother, Mary, actually was infuriated by it and basically said, my son gave his life in service to his country. Harry turned his back on service, basically for cash, to go move to Montecito, and his wife could hopefully make gazillions of dollars on jam, which, as we know, is not going to happen. Then, of course, we've got the Time 100. So twice in 4 years, we know that Time is pretty lazy, all right? But what a lot of people don't know is that Time magazine is owned by this guy, Mark Benioff, who also owns a company called Salesforce. Salesforce uses another company called Better Up, which you guys might know as having Harry as its chief impact officer, pays him, I think the reported amount was $1 million a year to do, we're not quite sure what. And Salesforce uses Better Up as, for things like corporate coaching, whatnot. So everyone is in their own circles, right? Yay, good for them. But I also just want to make the point here that a lot of these awards, now, obviously I'm in the media. I've been in the media for 30 years, despite the fact that I'm only 32. But we all know how these awards work. They work two ways. Number one, magazines are failing. They need cash. So they use awards, which are created by their marketing department, not their editorial department. There may be some input from editorial, but they are created by the marketing department so that they can sell tickets. They can sell advertising. The editorial is fine because guess what? The bigger, more controversial names you get more clicks. And that's where the real cash comes in, is the clicks. You get it from advertising on the website, you get it for advertising in the paper magazine, you get it from programmatic, whatnot. The other way they do it is through PR, because again, leadership in sports. Wow, so many people play sports. And instead of doing, I don't know, a local guy in Cincinnati, my hometown, who's saved hundreds of children from the streets by creating a sports program, they want big names. And of course, the big names all have PR people. And all the PR people are paid tens of thousands of dollars a month to get their clients' attention. And so it's a PR kind of horseplay. Now you wonder, why was Harry's PR people working so damn hard for this year? Well, those of you who've been paying attention, I wrote this story for News Nation about, a month ago. And Prince Harry's Invictus Games are on life support amid a $45 million budget crisis. So let's look at the timing and let's look at the money, right? They already have 29 million from the British government, which is absurd. These are the Birmingham Games. They only have 4 million from corporate clients. Now, usually what happens, you're supposed to match the government grant with corporate and private donations. 4 million is not 29 the last I checked. Prince Harry is going to Birmingham in about a month. We all know this because he's been telling people, he's been, subtly begging and trying to manipulate his father, King Charles, through the press to get him, some attention and get a meeting with Prince Charles. He's also saying, I don't know if my wife, Meghan, or children can come because I won't have protection. Well, he does have protection. He will have protection for this event and for this trip because he's going to Birmingham. Birmingham has a 30% Muslim population. Harry is not that popular, especially since he bragged in his book Spare that he killed 25 Taliban. That was his quote number. And it's just absurd. So you've got all this bad stuff going. What happens when the bad stuff hits the fan? Oh, wait, I forgot to tell you the other bad stuff. Here we go. Yeah, that's right. 2 weeks ago, the most honorable member of Invictus Birmingham, Melanie Poole, OBE, quit as the vice chair. Now, people like Melanie Poole do not quit positions. Okay? They just effing don't. They stay, they are professionals. This is what she does for a living. She sees her obligations through to the end, except for this one. Gee, I wonder why. Don't you? We got to do some digging on that. So, of course, a month later, what happens? The S is hitting the fan. No money. People are quitting. Oh my gosh. King Charles, as I reported, is not going to see him on this event. What happens? Yep. He gets his PR to do Time Magazine honor. So the narrative can change. So everyone can say, isn't Prince Harry so great? He's such a leader. Yeah. Except for I urge everyone who's following this BS line to talk to Scott Snow and ask him how he feels right now with his fentanyl patch on, because it's not great. It's also, frankly, absurd. I don't know how this event could have gone on. I don't know how it works in other countries, but I know in the States, you've got to be insured through the teeth, through the eyeballs for anyone performing, doing anything. And why they didn't have catastrophic insurance is beyond me. We do know from Tom Bauer's book that Invictus Canada paid for Harry and Meghan's hotel stay, paid for their jet up there. Some people say it paid for her clothing. I tend to disagree because, she likes a freebie. But that does bring us on to the next story that I have, which this blows my mind, because while they claim they technically don't make money off of this event, if you go on Meghan's one-off site right now, guess what she's selling? That's right, all of her outfits from Dusseldorf and Vancouver. So this particular outfit, I believe it's the outfit that she wore the day that Scott Snow was injured, is worth $9,500, $9,590 to be exact. Now, the dress is Cult Gaia. It's about $900. The shoes are her favorite brand, Altazora. They're about $1,000. And of course, the bracelet, Cartier Love, fills up the gaps. But here's where I get the ick, all right? And here's where I get furious. She is basically making money off of the Invictus Games by selling outfits that she wore at the Invictus Games, and not even a percentage is going back to the Invictus Games. Not even a percentage is going towards Scott Snow, the man who got injured at the Invictus Games. Now, I don't know, 95.90. 10%, because she gets 10 to 25%. So let's say she's only getting 10% on that, right? That's about $1,000. $1,000 could get Scott Snow 10 therapeutic sessions. Yeah. Instead, it's if someone buys it and she gets her percentage, it will be going probably to her and Harry's bank account. Now, Harry being married to Meghan, given the okay to this, now you can say, yeah, you're making money off of veterans. And to this, I just wonder, at some point, we know this is facile for Harry. We know it is not for the veterans. Scott Snow did tell me he felt great again during the camps leading up to the Invictus Games. He felt like a team again. And now, here's the deal. I've talked about this before, but I do work with other charities. And some of them are for the military, the Navy SEAL Foundation, another Navy SEAL Foundation. However, the biggest thing that they struggle with is PTSD and feeling, as Scott Snow does right now, abandoned. And the way that they deal with it, at least the charitable organizations like the Navy SEALs Foundation, is by offering team events and offering buddies who help these guys feel like they're a part of something again and feel like they have a support system. Now, this is what Scott Snow felt with Invictus right up until he got injured. He got injured, and now he feels abandoned again. Now, just imagine, dig deep, find some empathy, and just imagine how that would make you feel. You're already suffering from PTSD. You already feel alone. And the place that made you feel included again, you feel has turned your back on you now. I mean, I get emotional about it because yes, I will move on. I don't want to get too personal. But here's the deal. It ain't right. It ain't right. It's infuriating. And now these two fools are making money off of what Meghan wore to these games. Meghan definitely, Harry on the side because he married to her and he's accepting the money to pay his bills. It's just, you guys, I can't. I'm infuriated. Just so you know, if you add up all the clothes that she wore in Dusseldorf, not the jewelry, just the clothes, basic clothing, the outfits cost $31,000. So 10%, that would be, I don't know, 3,100. Yeah, it's a lot. And the thing is that that's kind of peanuts to them. That ain't going to keep their lights on. It's just a drop in the bucket. What they're really hoping for with One-Off is One-Off gets sold, and not unlike Ben Affleck, and I say Ben Affleck not in the context with them, but because Ben Affleck just sold his AI company for $600 million, they're hoping to do that kind of deal. So here's the question that I ask. If $3,100 does nothing for you, why are you not putting it back into the fund for veterans or for someone like a Scott Snow or the Invictus Games? Because when your real payoff is for One-Off to sell, that's when you get the big old cash. Why not put the peanuts towards someone who actually needs it and to whom it isn't peanuts? I have so many questions. They're unanswered. I again have contacted Harry, Meghan, and Invictus, and we have yet to hear back. Sometimes they email back, sometimes they don't. We shall see, shall we? But I really need your guys' help. If you're as pissed as I am, and I'm sorry I just used that word. I know some people are going to get offended. I know my Aunt D would. Sorry, Aunt D. But if you're as angry as I am, you got to get this word out, man. You got to make it right for Scott. You got to help have Harry make it right for Scott. All right, so palette cleanser. What? All right, he was sitting by me the whole entire dang time. Now you're gonna have to give me a hot minute, okay? Just one hot minute. Don't go anywhere because I got a shock for you. I got a good one. Hold on, I'm coming. What? Oh my gosh. Oh my God. Here we go. Here he comes to save the day. That's right, it's Doug. Yes. So this guy was sitting by me the whole time until I got heated and started really talking about how disgusted I was. And he left because he also got disgusted. And we can't have that because when Doug gets disgusted, things come out of orifices and I have to clean them up. But here's your daily Doug. And his deep thought is, hold on, what is it? Yeah, he just growled slightly in my ear, and that means he is furious. That's his deep thought. Well, okay, you want to stay there? He's going to sit in my lap. All right, you guys, thank you. I really appreciate you guys. And I'm sorry I got a little bit heated today. I don't, as you know, don't normally, but I'm just mad. I hate it when people take advantage of other people to make themselves look good. I hate it when people punch down. Listen, my pledge to you, I promise to never punch down. If you think I am, please call me out, dudes. Like, I like to be a person of my word. And I also really, really just want hypocrites to be called out. I'm so angry about this. It's not right. All right. Anyway, thank you. I really appreciate you. Please like, please subscribe, hit a bell so that every time I'm on, we can be together. All right. Now have a great weekend. Listen, tomorrow I'm going to be on live with Eliza Licht. We're going to be talking about Meghan's yet another pivot, because ain't nothing working for that girl. We're going to be talking about One Off. We're going to be talking about As Ever. And then this weekend, I will be doing the Sussex Crash Report with Lauren the Insider. Now, listen, we all miss Tom, by the way. He is off writing his book. We love him. We got to give him a little break. All right. Thanks, you guys. I appreciate you.